But I will be here the rest of the week so you can come and ask the questions. And I also want to say right in the start, we are now leaving the digital world completely and moving over to IRL, hands-on management in the real world. The place we are is here. It's Norrbotten is the northernmost county in Sweden. It's also the biggest, comprising about 25% of the total surface. This border here, which is on this map, is an old administrative border for agricultural settlements. And it still have a large implication on the management, as on the western side of this, it is our organization, government organization, that has the job to manage both fishing and hunting and land management. And on the state-owned land. And most of this area is state-owned. Only those pink areas are actually private. To give you an idea of the size, this is the seabed of Denmark. Makes sense to some of you. We don't have anything against Denmark, but we really thought it was super fine here. The numbers we're talking about, and I'm only talking about this half of the county, the place, the area we are managing. It's 54,000 square kilometers land area, close to 21,000 lakes, more than 7,000 kilometers of streams and rivers, depending on how big you consider a stream to be. We have more than 100,000 sport fishing days per year, probably closer to 120,000. There is one person fishing one day. And this actually makes the county administrative board of Norrbotten the largest fishery manager in Sweden if you count in waters. There are probably someone who's selling more licenses or so. But counting waters, we are the biggest. Obviously, it's a very sparsely populated area. I think you will find the EU statistics showing that there lives around 0 person per square kilometer. So you get the idea, it's big. And some characteristics about what we're dealing with here is that obviously there's a lot of different kind of waters, big lakes, small lakes, rivers. We have a lot of different species. The one I listed there is only a few, but obviously there are some of the more popular for visiting anglers. We also have many high-profile waters, as we call them. That is waters that really attract people from southern Sweden or abroad. If you go into fly fishermen forums on the internet, you will find many of these destinations are lively discussed, and we're changing experiences and tips and so on. We have a number of famous fishing camps, not a lot, but a few, and I've been there quite a long time, and I'm happy to say that some of them are really progressive and working for the future in a very wise way. We only have natural populations of fish, no stocking. We have a few exceptions to this, is where we have some hydroelectricity developments where they compensate stocking, but that's so very few areas. And there are low-cost fishing licenses. It's sort of a democratic way of selling fishing here. It's state-owned, it's fishing for everybody. The second last point, of course, have very big implications for how we have to manage this fishery if we want to have a good fishery. And this is the boring part, but good to know if you want to understand the situation. It's not the fishery legislation that is really controlling this fishing management. It's something that's called the Reindeer Husbandry Act. And it's actually there mainly to safeguard reindeer owners, the Sami people that are reindeer owners. Their traditional rights, both to herd reindeer and fishing and hunting on the land use. It also allows for some recreational fishing and hunting. but it doesn't really have a concept of tourism. I can say it's absolutely not adapted to tourism. It really doesn't. I think it mentioned tourism in one spot, and then it's as a problem, as it could disturb reindeer, something like that. And the thing is that when we have this shared fishery right ownership, we also share the revenues from the fishing licenses. And so if you buy a fishing license there for €10, it doesn't cost exactly €10, but if you spend €10, less than €1.7 actually goes to the management. The rest is, well, part is sales tax and part goes to the guy that sold the license, but most of the money goes to the Sami community and to some Sami cultural development part as an intrusion payment. And of course, there are all different kinds of views about this, what is fair and what is not. But from a management point of view, obviously this is a sort of systematic error. It doesn't work, really. We have huge areas and no money. I said it's not adapted for tourism development. It's like, it's probably not, I shouldn't say it's impossible, close to impossible, for example, to build a fishing camp in this area. You're not already in a spot where there are already buildings and it's sort of roads and stuff. So it's hard to have new developments. So what to do? Well, no money and very bad legislation. And this is very summary what I'm telling you, but it's actually covering a number of years of activities. We decided that we need to educate the focus groups that are really involved in this, and those are, of course, first of all, the tourist entrepreneurs, the businessmen who are going to make money on the fishing tourism. But we also understood that we need to educate the decision makers that are maybe influential in this development. And we also understand that we have to have a differentiated fishery management. We don't have a lot of money, but we do have a lot of area, a lot of waters, so we have to focus. And as we didn't have money, we turned to the European Union and we got some funding from there, and we have run a project for a number of years, and there have been several other projects parallel with this one. This one was our organization run, and we have had seminars, courses, workshops, and beside actually giving out fact and raising the awareness and competence, it's one very important aspect of being to build networks, that the fishing camp owner of that river area needs that guy, which he never do, even if they're in the same county, but he will have a forum so we could meet. And there was everything covering cooking to fishing management to how to speak English in some ways. We made several study trips, and then we chose the destinations where we thought that there was some sort of success that could be studied, and on an international level. And of course, we didn't only learn from success, we also learned from failures, which is sometimes just as interesting. And the thing is, we both studied fishing tourism industry, all aspects, marketing, cooperation, how you make a fishing package, stuff like that, but also fishery management practices. And I should really have put what did we hopefully learn up there. But I hope that our decision makers have learned the value of fishing tourism, which actually can be done. We have an area which is the traditional way of making a living here is timber, mines, or hydroelectricity. So it's a lot of people may think it's very strange that cooking spaghetti for an Italian is a proper job, if you understand what I mean. So you need to change attitudes. And also, what kind of potential Norrbotten have as a destination for fishing tourism. And the last part, which was understanding what kind of decisions that may be required. And this is a very simple illustration, and you will of course understand this very easily. If we have a fishing tradition that gives water to that kind of small fish, and we want to go in that direction, there will be some decisions that have to be made and some changes we have to relate, and that will not be popular among all groups. Don't misunderstand me, everybody wants that fishing, but not everybody is prepared to take the consequences in how you fish to reach that. About the decision makers, I think we had the success. It is very easy politically to work with the fishing tourism and progressive fishing management in Norrbotten today, so it was well worth the money. The tourist entrepreneurs, well, I think one of the main things they were learning was to understand the resource that they were having. Not only the fish in the water and the water character, but also what kind of infrastructure, what kind of buildings, what kind of food, what kind of everything. Understanding the market. A British fisherman doesn't want the same as a German fisherman, and you don't sell the fishing trips the same way in different countries, stuff like that. Pretty much seeing good examples in international fishing tourism and steal good ideas. We are not shy to admit that we try to do that as much as we can. And also actually learn from bad examples. And develop cooperation. A lot of these people that have been successful in the history in our area have been very stubborn, particular characters that are maybe not the strongest side. Cooperate, but to stand up in the wind when it blows you in the face. And to teach them how to cooperate and help each other, and in that work was really interesting to see. Differentiated fishery management. What do I mean with that? Well, we have general and simple fishing regulation in most waters. You can see what we're talking about there. And they're much stricter now than 15 years ago. We have baggings and stuff like that. But we also have areas which are sort of high profile, high pressure waters, often streams with good fly fishing waters. A lot of people coming there are very serious fishermen, and they're not sort of destroying the resource. But there are too many people. We're loving these waters to death, as we say. So we have to go in and make even stricter rules. Could be bag limit on one fish a day. Could be a slot size limit. How to take one fish in the site between 30 and 45 centimeters a day. Something like that. And then we have the third kind of water, which is what we call quota-based waters. And that, when the first two categories, you buy the same license for. As for the same area, you can go 3 year water. The last one, you have to apply for a permission. And if there are more people that are applying, that there are fishing permits, there are lottery. So there are limited fishing and also very strict rules. And when you buy our fishing license, you will get information sheet like this. And it will be looking something like this, and I will translate it because it's only in Swedish. Sorry for that. We used to have them in English, we will have it again. Right now it's only in Swedish. Number 3, quota-based water. There you see that one. You have to apply for permission. F, fly fishing only. You fish on the same license as in the rest of the area, but it's only fly fishing and it's strict bag limit. Blah blah blah, different kinds of stricter rules. T, trolling water, big, deep lake, really difficult to fish with other methods. You allow modern trolling methods. You're allowed to use 6 rods per boat, for example. But it is a stricter bag limit and then some other rules that come with it. That one, private owned, not for our license. Undantagsvatten is the water that are exclusively for the Sami, the reindeer herders use. You're not allowed to fish there. And they have their settlement around there. And then you have the rest, where you can fish with the same license. And there's similar, same rules all over the place. So, that's how we try to do, with no money, but anyway. The next step for us now, and any one of you that will visit the Kiruna and plan to fish for salmon in the Liner River will be this one. We are developing river-specific management, as we call it, and this is part of the reply to the development of the salmon management on the EU level. We need to do this to have a proper management of salmon. And we are doing it this way. We're stealing ideas from Ireland, Eastern Canada, and Alaska, and we have done our own little kind of tagging system. If you come here and buy a fishing license for the Kiruna area, you plan to go fishing in the Line River, you're allowed to do that, but if you're fishing for salmon, you have to buy one of these tags, like this. That means you will be paying more for your fishing than if you're fishing for grayling or whitefish. So we're raising, in a way, the fishing license price, but not affecting the people fishing for other species. And the objective, of course, is to develop improved management tools for catch report and control quality. With this, it's numbered, we will know what persons have which number. It's a compulsory catch report on SMS, email, or paper, depending on the technological level of the fishing they can choose. So we'll know which person have which tag. We can see how many tags have been used in the end of the season. And we will have a yearly bag limit. You can never buy more than 3 tags, no matter how many fishing licenses you buy during the year. And we can use this in the future. We think that if we have really bad salmon returns, maybe we won't allow 3 salmon, so maybe we will allow 1 salmon. This is the way they started in Ireland. We've been there, talking to them, seeing what they've been. First they started just to get an idea how big the catches were. And then they started to use it as to perform the harvest. We're planning something similar, and hopefully it will be successful, and we can use at least part of the system in other rivers too. And in the long run, why not in coastal fisheries or in the traditional float net fisheries in the border river, to do quotas for different kinds of fishing. I don't know what the time is, but I've been as quick as I could.
Yeah, that's